Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here with another Orns 10-minute take on Watford 1, Brentford 2. This game was a game that Watford had to win just for pride's sake, I think, because Watford's chances of staying in the Premier League were dashed last week with that 3-0 defeat at home against Leeds. Well, Watford, not to be outdone, extended their club record of home defeats to 10 consecutive with this defeat at home against Brentford. Now, in the first half of the game, Watford, they were appalling. They really were shocking in the first half. That's really where they lost this game. It was not in the second half with the loser miss. And of course, it would have been greatly beneficial if Imran Loser had put the ball in the back of the open net. It would have been greatly beneficial. But it was that first half that kept really undoing Watford as it has done for the vast majority of this season. This is now the 22nd Premier League defeat of the season for this team. And that first half was indicative and emblematic of the entirety of this season in terms of the way that Watford apply themselves to these games, whether they are at home or away, but especially when they are at home at the Vic. They do not put any kind of intensity or pressure on the opposition in the first half of these games. And it continues to show itself and it manifesting itself today in another very wherewithal on the beach like performance in that first half. Didn't lay a glove on Brentford, didn't lay a glove on the defense, didn't give them a thing to think about. Brentford's defense was only too happy to soak up pressure, the little pressure that was applied to them in that first half. And then the predictable march forward for Watford was squelched in the manner of one Emmanuel Dennis, who did not release the ball quickly enough throughout this game, did not find the open man, did not put pressure on the Brentford goal, was too busy trying to show everyone at the Vic that he had a little bit of skill, he had a little bit of a flick, a little bit of a trick. But he did not show the Watford faithful or anyone else watching this game, wherever they were in the world watching this game, that he was a team player. And that has been the immense problem with Manuel Dennis. He has been found out as a very selfish footballer. And the fact that he scored later on in this game only papers over cracks and only further belies what we know about Dennis. He is not a team player. He is too busy looking for the ball and not too busy looking for his teammates. That was very true in the first half of the game. His decision making in the final third is woeful. He was the worst Watford player today on the pitch. Roy Hodgson set them up as he customarily does, and the defense did not have any discipline at all in this game, did not play with the usual compact organization that Roy Hodgson had come in here to do. That has all been unraveled in the last few weeks. And I think ever since the Wolves game, outside of one or two other places where Watford were quite decent defensively, perhaps the game against Liverpool among those, outside of one or two instances, I think all of this capitulation with the defense began against Wolves. I think from that game on, Watford's defensive responsibilities had completely been put all over the map. And you saw that again against the Brentford side, who were able to, after just 15 minutes, come in and not a glove laid on Norgard, who comes in, scores the goal. He is not marked. He is not tracked. He is not touched. It is a training ground goal for Brentford in the 15th minute. It really was schoolboy defending from Watford in that same minute. And when you don't track your man, you don't run with him, you don't meet him with any pressure, you don't do anything on the level of ball pressure in this game, this is what you get. You get an easy training ground goal for Brentford, and they are up 1-0. Now, Watford did try on a couple of occasions in that first half to do something to that Brentford side, but they really did not do anything because they kept undoing themselves with silly passes and not enough intensity in the game. You cannot come into a game and cede the initiative right away. And when Watford had a chance in the first half to absolutely exhibit quality, exhibit a determination, a desire, a passion, they completely took the first half off. Took the first half off. You're not going to get the job done that way if you are looking to get 3 points. Watford weren't interested in 3 points today. I think they were interested in just getting the first half of a game out of the way because they don't generally perform well in the first halves of games at the Vic. We've seen that throughout the season. We've seen that in the game against West Ham when West Ham came to the Vic in late December of last year. Dennis scored the first goal in that game, and West Ham ended up I think in the first half, up 2-1, if not 3-1, before West Ham went on and won 4-1. Crystal Palace, same thing, as Crystal Palace beat us 4-1 at home. I mean, no desire at home. Watford, for some reason, just don't show the fight at home. And the first half of these games gets completely undone for them. And it's as if they are waiting for the other team to score first before they spark themselves into action. And that's really what happened in this game against Brentford, who didn't have much themselves that they could say that they did in that first half. They did not even come out of second gear. They were nowhere near the Brentford that I'd seen in the game at Stamford Bridge just a couple of weeks ago when they put 4 past Chelsea. And yet Watford was so charitable today, so charitable to this team. It was as if they were giving out Easter eggs a day early. Such was the performance of Watford in that first half. Dreary, uninspired, lethargic, not moving the ball quickly enough, not moving into space quickly enough, not being able to get around defenders quickly enough, not running in and threatening that defense, not running into space, not giving areas of channels for the ball to be passed into, not giving up the ball, Emmanuel Dennis, quicker, not moving the ball fast enough. Ismail Assar, where were you? Ismail Assar was invisible, and he's been invisible ever since he's started back again for Watford. Since coming back from this injury, Ismail Assar has been invisible. He has nowhere to be seen. Listen, he could be on the back of a milk carton somewhere. Have you seen that man, Ismail Assar, anywhere? Have you seen Emmanuel Dennis anywhere? In that second half, he was really fortunate to have been given that goal, because for me, he was offside. Certainly, Sarr was offside, which would have been invalidated anything else that would happen after that. And that goal, I don't think, should have counted. I think VAR gave us a gift. We went with the gift, but we didn't take full advantage of the gift. We didn't unwrap the gift. We didn't unlock the gift. The gift remained closed, because for the 10 to 15 minutes after that 56-minute goal by Emmanuel Dennis that gave Watford a 1-1 foothold, Watford did not proceed to cash that foothold in with another goal. And that's really another place that they lost this game. For the 10 to 15 minutes after Emmanuel Dennis had scored, Watford invited Brentford on. Brentford, you knew, were inevitably going to respond and grow out of their shell and try to fight for 3 points. You knew that was going to happen. And that's the difference as well. Brentford actually wanted the game in the end, didn't they? And they literally wanted it and won it in the end, because they showed every bit of endeavor, having played really poorly and non-existently in the first half themselves, except for the goal, which was gifted to them. Brentford showed you that they wanted that game. Brentford showed you heart. They showed you spirit. They showed you confidence. And they showed you belief. And they never gave up. Unlike this football club, which did not show up in that first half. For me, again, that's where Watford lost this game today. Watford are not looking as if they're going to get another win at the Vic this season. They will extend that club record again. I don't think they're going to beat Burnley either. I'll jump ahead 2 weeks. Do you see them getting 3 points against Burnley? Burnley sacked their manager just yesterday. Watford failed to capitalize on a gift that was given to them by VAR, a gift. And as a result of that, they allowed Brentford to come out of their shell, come on to them, lay waste to that Watford goal. And then Watford, in the final 10 to 15 minutes of the game, started to get going. You leave it too late there to get going. And those substitutions, again, Roy Hodgson, far too late. Taking off Uray Kushka, which I didn't understand. I don't think Kushka was injured, didn't show that he had an injury. Doesn't mean he didn't pick one up. But I don't understand the methodology of pulling Kuchka off. He was the one player who consistently gave you effort in this game. The one Watford player specifically who consistently gave you effort. That is exactly the kind of thing that needed to happen for everyone else in the first half of that game today. You wasted 45 plus precious minutes. And as a result of wasting 45 plus minutes in the first half, 47 to be precise, you then resort to scrambling late in a game desperately to try to win a game. That is not good enough. And Brentford picked you off. They got you, and they got you late. We've seen this scenario so many times this season because Watford wasted an entire half, because Watford didn't do a damn thing in the first half of that football match today. What happened at the end of the match was entirely predictable. You knew that when loser missed that open goal, that Brentford were going to go down the other end and score. I actually said to someone that that was going to happen. I said, they're going to lose this game now. I said, watch Brentford go down the other end and score. I actually said those words. And what happened? Exactly that. Exactly that. The same way it happened at the Vic on New Year's Day this year against Tottenham Hotspur. Same side of the pitch, corner taken from that side of the pitch by the Anne Swanson family enclosure. Ball comes in, header, Davinson Sanchez scoring for Tottenham, 95th minute, 96th minute of that game. Watford 0, Tottenham 1. Same thing happened almost in the exact same fashion today. Watford 1, Brentford 2, right at the end of the game. That was entirely foreseeable because when you take a half off and you are on the beach, starting your summer holiday a good 6 or 7 weeks early, you can fully expect that the opposition is going to take advantage of you. And that's exactly what happened. Brentford really, in the main, did not do enough here today, except when they turned on the afterburners late in that game. That's when Brentford sealed the victory. Watford played like passengers in that first half, didn't do nearly enough in that second. And when you throw away a half of football by not caring less, by being on the beach, you put yourself in a position where you start to scramble at the end of games. And so you get extremely desperate. You get extremely frantic. And then you snatch at chances where cool composure would have done you much better. Had Louser been composed, we could have been talking about a different outcome. But realistically, I don't even blame Louser for the open goal miss. I don't blame Josh King or whomever it was who struck the post with an open goal in front of him. I don't blame him. Louser put in a shift at least. Kuchka, who I said was the best player on the pitch today for Watford, put in a shift at least. And there was one or two others Sissoko did, and Camera had his moments. But not good enough. When you take a half of football off, you put yourself in a position to have what happened at the end of that game happen. First, the loser missed to begin with, and then what happens at the other end. If Watford had applied themselves remotely, if they had put in a pinky finger of effort today in that first half of the game, we would have probably been talking about a different outcome. No way to know for sure. But I know that the tenor of that game would have been different. The goal and the mission always in these games in the Premier League, especially, is to get that first goal. And Watford failed miserably at that, as they have all season at the Vic. Only 2 wins this season at the Vic. 2 wins in the Premier League. 1 in a cup game that didn't mean anything for us. But 2 Premier League wins at the Vic this season. 10 consecutive defeats, a club record. How are you honestly expecting yourself to be taken seriously when you play football and you take a whole half off? It is not going to cut the mustard. Watford fans, we all know where this team is heading at the end of the season, and we all know that the vast majority of these players will not be with Watford at the start of next season. We all know that. I think only 4 of these players will probably be around. Only 4 of them. Cucho Hernandez will be one of them. João Pedro will be another of them. And who knows what happens to everybody else. Sissoko doesn't want to play in the championship. I'd be shocked if he did. I don't know who the other 2 players would be, actually, who would join those 2 that I've mentioned. I don't know who'd join Cucho and João Pedro on this team next season. Where are the players coming from to join Watford? What manager are you going to be bringing in here? Because what Roy Hodgson's been doing has not worked, not with the subs. These subs came on way too late today. You cannot bring in subs in the 70th minute or whenever it was he brought these subs in. I know he brought some in the 80th minute. I think that was around the first time, around the late 70s or the early 80s minutes-wise, that Roy Hodgson made a sub. That team was as flat as a pancake in the first half. Why were there no subs made at half time? Why? Why were there no subs made? That's just absolutely, to me, that is a total tank job by the manager, who has to be also brought in here for responsibility today for this defeat. How can you not bring in subs at half time when you were as abject as you were in that first half? I know Roy Hodgson in an interview has said that Ray Lewington was the one who blew his top and let these players have it. But that's all well and good, and we love Ray Lewington. But what should have been done is you take out some of these players who were total passengers, which means you'd have to take out almost all the entire team based on that first half of a horror show. You have to make some subs, and you have to make them at halftime. If you are going to sit here during the week and talk about how this Watford team have fight and belief and spirit and how you need to win these games, then why, Roy Hodgson, did you not do the kinds of things that would be consonant and consistent with what you'd been saying in your press conference in the run-up to this game? We know the team's already down. There's no special prize for guessing that. We all know now that this club is championship material. And a lot of Watford fans would say they've been championship material for the vast, vast, vast majority of this season. And I wouldn't necessarily disagree with them at all. How can I disagree with fellow Watford fans who think that this team was down a long time ago? I know I've heard from some who have said back in January, back in December of 2021, back in January of this year, that this club was going down. And now, with 6 games left, they have been proven right. This has been the Orns 10-minute take.